Council meeting of December 3rd, 2014. All members of the council are in the building. Councilmember Southworth will be here momentarily. Apologize for the time with the events of today. Things have tied us up for a little longer than we planned. Just for a comment, the order of business has been changed today. We will, right after citizens' comments, we will move to the presentation that is scheduled on the agenda, and following the presentation, item 9E on the agenda will follow, and then we will go back to the public hearing, and then as the order is. We will start tonight with the, one other comment. We have moved the redevelopment agency meeting till the following council meeting, and the building authority meeting will follow council, if anyone's here. We'll begin the meeting now with the pledge. Brian M. from Troop 1310 will lead us in the pledge today.
May the audience please stand. Put your hand over the heart and repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The auditors may be preceded.
Great job, Brian. Thank you. We'll move directly to communications. Bryce.
Mayor and Council, first thing I want to say is sometimes we worry about our youth and what's happening with generations following us and our illustrious growing up. I just want to point out that on a regular basis we turn to these young scouts like Brian tonight, and with less than 5 minutes preparedness, he was willing to volunteer, step up to the plate, and did such a beautiful job. I hope that we recognize that we have youth in our community who are willing to step up when called on, and congratulate him for that tonight, and recognize that this happens on a regular basis. I appreciate their willingness to do that. That's incredible. The next thing I want to ask the council, this has been a busy day with word from the Prison Relocation Committee and information that has been shared with the media. Are there any questions that you would like me to answer about our efforts at this time?
Questions from the council?
Okay, I just encourage you as council members and our public to keep an eye on our website for information that we can provide to help them to have an educated understanding of what's going on in our community and the efforts that we're making to be proactive in that situation. So if there are no other questions, that's all that I have tonight.
Thank you. Jeff, do you have anything? David?
No report tonight.
Tom Burdett?
Nothing tonight.
What? Ryan? Wendell? Chief McElwee?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just want to report on the progress for the new fire station and police station out west. We had a meeting this Tuesday. I'm happy to report that they have completed and passed their four-way inspection, and should have heat in the building by the end of the week, and start working on the inside now. So it's moving forward, and we're tentatively planning right now for the fire department to move back in along with the police department on April 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Diamond?
Just one thing real quick, just so you can put it on your calendars. It's still a little ways out, and we'll have another opportunity to let you know about it. But on January 7th at 4:30 p.m., we'll have another badge pinning ceremony for our four newest officers. Two that will be graduating from the academy this month, and two that are graduating from the night academy. So we should have that badge pinning at that time, and that'll be, of course, in our building. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McConaughey.
Nothing this week. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll just take a minute. I want to applaud Chief Diamond and his, the police force. A good friend of my husband's and mine's daughter's going through a really ugly, terrible divorce. She lives in Harriman. Her ex-husband has been threatening her. He has been slicing her tires. He has been doing all kinds of things. They've called Harriman's Unified, which has done nothing. It happened again here in West Jordan. The West Jordan police were called. They went immediately. This young man has been arrested, and I think they did such a great job because Unified wouldn't even go out and look at it, and she's living under threat with this young man. So I wanted to really thank you and your staff, your police officers, for the action they took. Thank you.
Councilmember Haga.
Thanks, Mayor. I had an opportunity I'm a member of a chamber in Lehigh, and I had an opportunity to listen to the governor on Tuesday, and he said that Utah, and this is good news when you're a business person, is the second best economy in the United States next to North Dakota. So that's my comment. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Nichols.
And North Dakota's oil. That's all I was going to say. That's the only reason. I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Southworth.
Nothing tonight, but thank you.
Councilmember Stoker.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one really quick thing. Last night, I had the opportunity to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony with Councilmember Haga of the new Smith's Marketplace at 56 West and 78 South, and I was super impressed with what's going on out there. The construction of 5600 West, the road is beautiful. The store is amazing. It's a high-quality store. The architecture inside and out are just amazing to look at, and there's a great feel about it. And it's really great to see the energy that's happening in that part of the city. The Peterson Group that helped bring that store into the city, and their continued efforts to help bring additional retail into that area. It's really exciting.
Thank you. We've been long awaiting that opening. I have a lot of public statements I'd like to make, but one is that I don't believe wisdom was used by the consultant to select the site for the prison. I believe that we will not be the site of the new prison. With that, we will move to citizens' comments. I have two signed up to speak tonight. The first is Chris Kincaid.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. My name is Chris Kincaid. I represent Bach Development. We have a development in your city. You may recall Creekside Development with Peterson in conjunction. The matter that I'm requesting is for a bond exception. When we initially began work on this site, we did so with the understanding that we would need a land disturbance permit, and to enact that process, we were told we needed to do a revegetation bond and an inspection fee, which we did. We're now some 75% complete on those public improvements. And in the course of correspondence with the city, we specifically requested the amounts that we would need to bond for this project. Some correspondence with Loretta at the staff. And in that correspondence were identified with some $600K in bonding, which we don't have an issue with on the public bond. Subsequent to that, because of the master plan development agreement, we were required to file with the city a development agreement. And in that development agreement, we were asked to bond for the private piece, which was some $200,000. That was news to us in our initial correspondence in November when we began this process. The bond was for some $600,000. Because of that correspondence with the city and it being attached without notice to us in the development agreement, we're now in a hardship to secure some additional $200,000. So my goal is to have a discussion specific and an exception to that bond requirement for the private component. We'll look for your comment.
We'll have somebody contact you. Chris.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alexandra Ephraim.
Mayor and Council, I'm counting my blessings for all of us, and so I just want to pause. Ladies and gentlemen, may we pause for a moment to reflect upon our common goals before we begin the business of this meeting. We are privileged to gather here together in a system that gives us freedom to participate in our own governments. Whether from within or through the strength provided by our personal faith, we seek wisdom, understanding, fairness, and resolve in the fulfillment of our duties and in the pursuance of our goals. May our differences be respected and our common aspiration of promoting the public good to be our guide in carrying out the tasks we are about to undertake. Thank you. I am livid with Councilman McConaughey, Councilman Hanson, Councilman Nichols. I know you don't like me, but as a courtesy when I'm talking, can you please look at me? Please? Councilman Southworth and Councilman Stoker. I will fight till my dying breath for any of you to get reelected. I would like to be a little mouse whenever you met with Colosimo's and the threat of us being sued. I mean, we have an excellent attorney department, and for us to fall and say, okay, we'll give it to you, I am ashamed of you. And especially, I know the mayor said we could talk about anything, but my feeling is you are not supporting the city of West Jordan. Though people have been, why do we have the lowest voter rate in the United States? It's because people are sick and tired of the government. It's unbelievable what you people are doing. Could you please look at me, Councilman Southworth and Councilman Nichols? Give me the credit of looking at me when I'm talking, please.
Point of order, you are out of order.
Point of order's been called. You'll have to not make personal attacks.
Oh, I thought you said I could talk about anything.
Well, you can't make personal attacks, so.
I apologize,
Point of
Mayor.
order's been called.
Well, anyway, I'm disappointed with the council. West Jordan is not being represented. The people in Utah, the lowest voting rate, and it's because people are tired of politics. You know, let's be straight. I have been here on many hearings, and 45% said no. They just never came anymore because you don't listen, just like you're not listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the citizens that would wish to speak on any issue? Please come forward. For the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Lynn Rasman. I reside at 6417 West, 7800 South in West Jordan. I have a comment for the mayor and the council tonight, and I'm glad to be here. I have a question as to, when I read the agenda on my computer today, I was just a little bit appalled at some of the things I read. And one of them had to do with the consent calendar number H and the developer's agreement. And they want, they come out and they did the west side plan on our side, which I guess was okay, but it has created some horrible things, and they have changed the density of all the ground. But they put in all these amenities, and they do all these retention ponds, and then they get the perks for it, for their subdivisions, and we are left as taxpayers to maintain them in the long term. I don't feel like that's right. They shouldn't be getting perks if we're going to maintain them. And they says, well, the city will maintain them. Well, who is the city? The West Jordan citizens will be paying the bill to maintain all of that, and yet they get the perks so that they can cram in more homes, put in more density, and change everything out here. I think it's wrong, and I think there should be something done about it. Why are we paying them to put it in when we don't want it, and then why are we maintaining it after it's in? Good question we need to ask ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council citizens' comments? Seeing none, I will close the citizens' comments portion of the agenda. We will now move to the presentation by the West Jordan Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate having a few minutes on your agenda tonight. On behalf of the West Jordan Chamber, I'm Suzanne Oliver, the chair of the Chamber Board, and I have some of the board members here with me tonight. I appreciate their time and service on the board. We've very much been thankful for your support of the Chamber and participation as we've gone through strategic planning this year and identifying and reinforcing the shared goals that we have, both the council and the chamber, to have a strong chamber in West Jordan that is there for the businesses and helping us to be an even better place. And it's my pleasure tonight, on behalf of the board, to introduce you to our new chamber president, Javine Lane. And I'd like her just to take a moment to introduce herself briefly to you. I know she's met a few of you, but we really appreciate having the opportunity to do this formally.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an incredible honor for me. I can't tell you what this means to me. I have been in chamber work for the last 16 years, and I fell in love with it as a volunteer, as a member for the first 10 years, and then I went to work for the Sandy Chamber, became their vice president, operations and sales, and chief bottle washer. So I worked for them when they were down on 7th East, 40,000 in the hole, and to be able to have that experience of where they grew to be where they are today. And to be out here in West Jordan, I have been so impressed. I have to tell you, I've met so many of you, and everyone is so warm and welcoming, and what a wonderful community we have here. The growth for the next 20 years is just amazing, except for that prison. I don't know about that. Personally, I just want to tell you about some of our goals. Suzanne was saying about what the business community is. We're more than that, and I'm really impressed with the West Jordan Chamber as a whole because it is so balanced between business, city, and community. And that's a beautiful thing, and so we keep that in mind in everything that we do. And going forward in the next year, we're going to have a lot more programs that you're going to see that are going to add value to the business community, working with economic development and the community at large. We see our mission is really to be a hub between those areas, to help support and solve problems. To be able to walk upstairs and talk to any of you with our members is just so huge for them. It gives them so much power, and it will also just give them such a bigger chance at success in business. The last thing I want to tell you is we had talked about in our strategic plan about being a conduit of resources and education. So we're really interested in working deeply with the school districts. We're going to have a women in business, so we're going to reach out to women in their business and have a junior women in business program working with the school districts, which is a mentoring program. all of these things will help us have a bigger success rate and a high-level community with our businesses, which will help us bring more businesses in. So thank you all for your time, and please stop by and see me anytime. I'd love to meet all of you, and if you have any suggestions for us, we're here to serve you. So thank you.
And the same goes for the board. If you have any questions or ever concerns, we hope that you'll get in contact with us, and we really do value the relationship very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we will, as I explained earlier, we will move to business item 9E, discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 14-226, expressing the City Council support for the West Jordan Chamber of Commerce. Ben Southworth.
Thank you, Mayor. As you just mentioned, this is a resolution expressing a general support for the Chamber. It outlines, as you have already outlines, our relationship that we have had, that we do have, and that we expect to have. It outlines that we have a dual purpose in our existence, and we have a lot of overlap in the goals that we have as individuals, as part of this community, as residents, as stakeholders, and expresses that pretty succinctly. I'll place that before the council now and entertain any discussion.
Councilmember Haga.
Thanks, Mayor. I want all the council to know I'm a supporter of the West Jordan Chamber of Commerce. I've reached out to the board, and I know I've sat on their board before. I'm a past board member, so I know being a board member, like our body, sometimes we make tough decisions. And a decision was made against, a person that I consider a friend. However, in business, and I mentioned this a little earlier, I had a meeting down in Lehigh with Lehigh Chamber. And the governor said one thing that I remember, stuck in my mind, to share this with Javine today. The Chamber is about business. Now in this meeting, there were all the elected officials of all the northern Utah County folks, but the Chamber was about business. So, I attended the retreat. I'm excited for what prospects we have for the growth. I know our city's going to go like this, and I know business is going to come. And so I'm going to publicly say I support the Chamber, but on a resolution, this resolution, as a member of the council, I would rather. Well, let me put it this way. We voted 7-0 for a contract to the Chamber of Commerce, 7-0. When I was on the board, we were lucky to get a majority. So I think this council's shown the support for the Chamber of Commerce. But being a member of the Chamber as a council person, and that's how I am a member in West Jordan, I'm not comfortable voting on this resolution, but I will do this. I'll recuse myself because I feel it's a conflict a little bit, and I'll come and sit with you as support. But I'll let the other council members vote and decide on the resolution, if that's all right. Thanks, man.
Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, if we took that stance, I don't think we would ever vote on a chamber issue, but that's his opinion. I am completely supportive of our chamber, of what they do. The board, we must absolutely show our support behind them. And as such, I move that we approve Ordinance 14-226, this resolution. 14, is it? I'm sorry, resolution. Sorry, not ordinance, resolution. Resolution 14-226 in support of our local chamber.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Hanson. Discussion of the motion. Councilmember Southworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a quick moment to express my enthusiasm for the relationship that we as a city have with our chamber. I'm very encouraged by the things that I've seen, the successes we've had in the past, and what we look towards the future, and I look at all the potential. I'm just excited. I'm excited about our future. We've got a good group of folks at the helm, and it's very, very encouraging. I am grateful for that relationship. I am very supportive that it is independent and an autonomous organization from the city, because I think Janine talked about being a conduit to communication, were your words, and that is vital to our business community with the government, and we have to work very close together. Your success is ours, and ours is yours, and so we have to have a good relationship. We have had that, and I am very enthused about the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I very much appreciate the resolution that's been proposed. As Councilmember Hague alluded to, there have been some recent changes in the composition of the Chamber of Commerce, or the West Jordan Chamber's leadership. And I just want to take a quick second to say thank you to Craig Deering, and publicly on the record say that I'm grateful for the work that he's put into it and for the time and dedication and years that have been spent growing the chamber. I spent some time as early as this afternoon talking to another member of the chamber who outlined for me some history that I had not been aware of, and some contributions that Craig had made over the years that were very significant. He pointed out in specifics some of the changes made to the sign resolutions or the sign code within the city, some changes made to the way that we look at the roads in the city. And I just wanted to highlight that there have been significant contributions over the years by Craig, and I want to say thank you. And I also wanted to say that I do support the chamber as they move forward and build on the foundation that Craig laid for us. So I would speak in favor of the motion.
Other discussion? Yes.
I do have one quick question. This is more probably a question for Jeff Robinson than anything. And this may be different because it's a resolution and not an ordinance, but in our rules and procedures under the section conflicts of interest, it mentions that conflicted council members shall not lobby, vote, or address the matter with council members. I want to make sure that Councilmember Hague is okay either way with the comments that were made, or if that's in conflict with our rules.
I don't think it's in conflict. He can recuse himself from any matter he wants. So
well, my question was because with the recusal, it also says you won't lobby or vote or address the matter. So I want to make sure that we're okay. If we have problems there, we're okay.
Well, I think he's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
My comments are, I do not support the motion. I don't think it's in order. I've been a paying member of the chamber for over 11 years at my company. The direction the chamber has decided to take is contrary to my advice. There are many current members that are leaving the chamber because of the changes. I've listened to the discussion, and over the past 11 years, I believe I've attended hundreds of hours of meetings with the chamber in government actions, EDCC board meetings, Western Growth Coalition, legislative roundups on Saturday mornings in January and February. And I haven't seen the executive board at many of these meetings, and I know I've seen Chad a couple times and Councilmember Hague a few times. So the resolution states that we support the forward-focused strategic direction, and I just can't support that resolution at this time. Any other comments? Let's vote.
Councilmember Stoker?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Southworth?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Roth?
No.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
It passes 5-1 in favor.
Okay, item, well, Councilmember. Item 7, consent items. I haven't heard of any being pulled other than the one that I stated at the beginning of the meeting. Item H, 7H has been pulled for no signatures. I would look for a motion. Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve consent items A through G.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Southworth. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yeah.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoker?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Okay, moving to the public hearing item on the agenda, 8A, receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 14-36 regarding a general plan use map amendment for approximately 2.20 acres from neighborhood commercial to very high density residential rezone from SC2 community shopping center zone to R312 SHO multifamily residential 12 units per acre maximum density senior housing overlay for the Sunridge Assisted Living located at approximately 7037 South, 4800 West, Sunset Village. Tom Burdette.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. We've been approached by a development group interest to build an assisted living facilities for seniors on 4800 West and 70th South. The first stage that typically we address is it compatible with the zoning and general plan. I'm going to turn the time over to Nanette Larson, our associate planner who's been reviewing this on behalf of our excellent city staff and give us an overview of the land use and zoning issues.
Thank you, Tom. The property located at 7037 South, 4800 West is immediately west of South Valley Regional Airport along a planned arterial street, which is Cougar Lane to the north, and two collector streets, 7000 South and 4800 West. The parcel is currently vacant and is not located within a subdivision. The applicant is requesting two separate motions tonight, a general plan land use amendment and a rezone. The first proposal is for a general plan land use amendment to allow for a change in the future land use map from neighborhood commercial to very high density residential. Because of the location of the site and within 2 miles of a newly developed commercial area, and that it's immediately west of the airport, which will limit access to the property that we're reviewing tonight, the proposed general plan land use amendment is consistent with the goals of the general plan. The second motion that will be in consideration is a rezone from the current zone CS2 Community Shopping Center to R312 very high density residential with a senior housing overlay district. The R312 designation allows for multifamily residential development. However, because the applicant is also requesting the property to be zoned with a senior housing overlay district, only independent or assisted living facilities for residents 55 years or older would be eligible for development of this property. Subject, of course, to meeting the conditions of conditional use, development plan, and a site plan review. The applicant also submitted a concept plan of future development. However, The only reviews tonight are for the general plan and land use map amendment and rezone. Planning Commission heard the proposed amendments on November 4th and forwarded a positive recommendation to City Council. During staff's review of both the general plan land use amendment and rezone, it was also determined both the proposed amendments meet the criteria listed in City Code.
Questions from council for staff? Councilmember Stoker.
Just a real quick question. I don't know the timing of when they've submitted applications or what applications they've submitted. I'm just wondering if this development would be subject to the cap and grade ordinance as it currently stands.
No, it's not. Assisted living is a different type of housing category that doesn't really have a similar definition or even a common definition with multifamily housing.
Okay.
Because it's really generally described as communal living, and those are kind of a separate entity.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay. I guess that's it. Is the applicant here wishing to speak on this item? Please come forward.
I'm Andrew McKay, one of the owners of the property, and this is my partner Scott Monson. And we're grateful for your time tonight. Glad to be here considering this project. We agree with the staff recommendation and the Planning Commission recommendation on the rezone, and I won't go into any great detail, but we reviewed with a number of commercial real estate agents for a number of months the feasibility of doing a commercial type use there, and it's just simply not feasible financially with some of the other developments and better opportunities and better sites around, and we're very excited about this project. We feel like this would help meet a need for West Jordan residents, that it would be a wonderful thing. Scott Monson helps with the management side of the assisted living center and is also an owner, and I thought he could just comment for a minute with me, if that's okay, about the nature of the service provided there and what we hope to do there.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, council members and mayor. We are very, very excited for the potential of having an assisted living in your city. One thing that we're very passionate about is senior care and being able to care for those residents of your community and let them have a choice of quality assisted living or quality senior living within your city. We feel like that's definitely something that people should have a choice of. The site that we're proposing is going to be state-of-the-art senior care, assisted living with memory care and just standard assisted living. So we'll be able to safely and dignified way care for your loved ones and your neighbors as their aging needs go into the future. Senior living is becoming more and more as baby boomers are entering into that realm. We're still a few years away, but we definitely want to be ready for that as the demand happens. We feel like that this site is very conducive for senior housing and will only contribute to the overall feeling that neighborhood will feel, as assisted living, in our experience, adds so much to the community, not anything negative. It adds value, it adds services, and really being able to care for people and do so in a dignified way, we feel is very important.
Questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now open the public hearing portion of item 8A. If there's anyone in the public wishing to speak, please come forward.
Mayor and council, I'm excited about this. This is, I'm 82 years of age, and I just pray, I'm excited about other people being able to have a place where they can go here in West Jordan, because Highland Cove has assisted living, and the way they've done it is awesome. I mean, that facility is just unbelievable, so I don't know precisely here. I have a question, though, very high density residential, and so I'm a little bit confused whether this is just assisted living or is it also going to have residential units. I'm a little bit confused about that. But anyway, we have a wonderful senior center here in West Jordan, and not too far that they can take advantage of the senior citizen. I'm just excited about this, but I'm a little bit confused about when you're saying 12 units per acre, but we have 2.20 acres. So does that mean only 24 people can come to the assisted? I'm a little bit confused about the definition here in the dialogue. So maybe somebody can explain it. I don't understand. But the entire that entire square, is that the 2.20 acres, or are there more acres than that in that spot? I know you can't answer my question, but I did ask Mr. Burdette, but he said that it really shouldn't say very high density, because I'm very much opposed to very high density, as we all talked about it at the strategic planning in January, that we were all going to be opposed to high density, but many council members have gone back on their word on that. So they're pushing high density. I'm disappointed in that we can't, again, trust our politicians. You know, when you say something, let's stick to it. And you all did at the strategic planning. I was there for the vote of no high density, but here you are, you're reneging. So disappointed in that, but thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Please come forward.
June Christiansen, 6417 West 7800 South. I think my question is very similar to what was just stated. In looking at the very high density, if it's looking at multiple family units, then we're talking a lot more children, congested schools, higher traffic, and that becomes a negative kind of picture. But looking at this as presented as senior living, you don't have those same issues. You have a different type of resident. And I think it could be a real positive and exciting thing for the city to put that in. And so my question is, if it's changed to the very high density, and should a senior citizen center not, or community not go in there, does that give permission for it to just flat be multifamily high density housing? And I think that I'd like to somehow get a clarification on that, so that, if we agree to these kind of things, is it going to stay true to the senior living, or can it revert to something else that would not be amenable to our city? So thanks if you could answer that question.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing portion of this item and move to the council for discussion and or motion. Councilmember Haga.
The question the citizen just said is the question I had. and because I'm one of the newer council members, so we are rezoning this we're proposing to rezone this, very high density. What is our assurance? Can we put a condition that it remain in this type of facility?
Yeah, thanks for the question. The reason that the very high density designation is recommended on the general plan is because it's the classification that goes with R112 or R312. And R312 zoning happens to allow the assisted living facility in our code. So the target is assisted living, and the R112 and the very, very high density is just the roadmap to get there. It could be possible if there's a concern that the council could direct a development agreement to be prepared in the event that the assisted living is not implemented in the future. That would probably be preferable for the city rather than a zoning condition of some sort. And I think it could be a rather simple development agreement. They can correct me. You may want to ask the applicants to come back to the podium and see if that's acceptable to them, and give them an opportunity to respond. But that would certainly solve the concern that's been raised.
If the mayor will allow, I do want to say I'm a proponent of this. You know, I am a baby boomer, just so you know. But I've also had parents that have had to utilize these facilities. And I've taken tours as member of Chambers of Commerce of Beehive, Assisted Living, and Legacy, and they're great facilities, and they're needed. It gives people in the later part of their life a community. That's why it's high density, is because you have a lot of elderly people that are a big family. But I just hope that we keep it as a assisted living. So if the mayor will allow,
Are you okay to allow them, or would you like?
I have some comments I think might address some of the concerns.
Okay, please.
In looking through the staff report, and I think this addressed some of the comments that June and Alexandra had. In the staff report, there is a conceptual plan which is required by our code for zone changes, and in that concept plan is a single building of 35,000 square feet. We're not looking at a bunch of condos or anything. It's just a single 35,000 square foot building that will house senior citizens within the building, within the single building. And I think some of the assurances we have as part of the rezone, we're adding the senior housing overlay with it. And by adding that senior housing overlay with the rezone, it can never turn into an apartment complex or condos like it's just south of this project. If for some reason that really doesn't build out, that senior housing overlay will kind of protect that piece of parcel to make sure that something like this goes in. The worst case scenario, it'll be caught by the cap and grade system, and so normal apartments can't go in there.
Does anyone still request the applicant to? I think we're okay. Okay, I look for a motion. Oh.
I do have a question. Thank you, Mayor.
Put your light on.
I did, I turned it on.
Councilmember Southworth.
I have a question. As I look at this concept plan, there is an access, I won't say single access, but it's actually one parking lot and two access out 4800 West. Without any access on the 70th. Does that work, I guess, to Chief McElreath? Have you had a chance to look at that concept? Does that work for fire protection and such?
We haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
Okay.
I don't know whether this is typically not the point in a review process where access is committed to. I'd let Greg and Nanette respond to that, but the next phase, when a preliminary development plan is presented, that is when we we drill down to the access and safety.
Okay. Yeah, just a general comment on the location of high density in this area. I look at this, and the council as well before us approved the whole line right along 4800 West here of high density housing. And our general plan indicates that, just to summarize it, that type of development ought to go in areas of I guess higher traffic, where you have let me see what it says here. Sorry. Anyway, areas that are suited for public transit and major transportation routes are available. And just from the get-go, I can't ever figure out why we have all this density in this place. And so for that reason alone, I'm very concerned that we're putting more. This was set aside for a commercial area, neighborhood commercial, when all of this was built out. You've got the one across the street. Now, I understand that there are some limitations with that, in that the market may not allow that to be feasible. I understand that. But a lot of, I think probably the justification going into this was that, well, we have these neighborhood car cutouts for this neighborhood commercial. And I just fundamentally have a concern that we're adding more high density to an area that shouldn't have had all this in the first place, and now we're compounding the problem. But that aside, that ship sailed years ago. And we have it there. This is 2 more additional acres. I have a whole lot of heartburn with the use there. I would really like to see a development agreement, something with teeth, that made sure that this was what they're indicating, or this eventually becomes what they're indicating it will be in the assisted living or senior housing of some sort. But fundamentally, just the point I wanted to make is I just disagree that our general plan allows high density in this area. It does not make sense to be there. Thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a real struggle zoning away the limited commercial area that we have within some of these subdivisions. I share a number of the same concerns that Councilmember Southworth voiced. However, that said, I also see a need for senior housing development in our community. On a very personal note, we've been trying to find something close by for my grandparents, and our options within West Jordan are very limited, and it's very, very difficult. I like the idea of increasing the senior housing here, and for that reason, I would be amenable to it. Going back to the concern I brought up about I'll leave it at that. I like the idea of senior housing there, although I would have preferred to see commercial. I really don't think it's terribly viable. So I would be supportive of a motion to approve the proposal.
Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in agreement with the last 2 comments definitely that were said by Councilman Southworth, also Councilman McConaughey. And with that, I would move that we approve Ordinance 14-36. And additionally, direct staff as part of the motion that we expedite a portion of this, which is in this next year, that we direct staff to really concentrate efforts on getting the roadway finished across 70 South. Once there's a motion, I have a comment. So I have second. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
we have
Chris.
a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Now a comment.
Thank you, Mayor. So with that being said, there's been a lot of effort. I know Councilman Southworth was a big part of this 7 years ago that started the ball rolling. It's taken that long to get that railroad completed. It literally takes that long. And we're to that point that we're expecting this to be done within a year. So really part of my motion was just as a comment that I'm really excited about the development, kind of the synergy that's going to come through this area. I support this development. I like what it's doing. I support senior housing and assisted living. But additionally, as part of the motion was because I really like the development, and possibly some of these M1s and such are going to start seeing some growth. I just want to see staff dedicate the time to make sure we get that railroad intersection in as soon as we possibly can, not just kind of waiting on things to kind of take place. If we can aggressively hit it, that's really the idea.
Other comments? Seeing none, let's vote.
Mayor Rolfe,
Yes.
Councilmember Haga,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoker,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson,
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth.
Aye.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Thank you. Business item 9A, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 14-225, authorizing the eminent domain action against the Williamsburg Holding Development Company, LLC, a Utah limited liability company, to acquire all of its real property located at 6632 South and 6732 South, 5600 West, West Jordan, Utah, necessary for the city's 5600 West, 6200 South to 77,000 South road and utility project. Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, this is eminent domain proceedings that we're requesting that the council approve for the 5600 West project, the northern part of that project. There's three things that we're asking the council to do this evening. The first is to approval to acquire the property as described in the staff report through eminent domain proceedings while we continue to negotiate the acquisition of the property. The second is to prepare and prosecute such eminent domain proceedings in the proper court of law. Third, to use services of outside counsel as necessary to accomplish these items. Just as background, we wanted to let you know that we have been in negotiations with the property owner since 2009, 2010 to acquire this property. We have completed all the appropriate steps in negotiations. These are detailed in the staff report. After attempting to negotiate with the property owner over the last several months, it's become apparent that we are at an impasse in these negotiations. Staff therefore recommends that the council authorize eminent domain proceedings while we continue to negotiate the purchase of the property. I might mention that this is a UDOT, a combined project for UDOT, the City of West Jordan, and West Valley City. The council has approved a federal aid agreement for the project. We have received money for the federal funds for the construction, which also includes property acquisitions. UDOT has received bids for the project about a week ago, and we're in the process of working with them to have them award the project in about 3 to 4 weeks. We anticipate a pre-construction meeting first part of January of 2015. Staff recommends the council direct staff to move forward with eminent domain proceedings of the parcels as indicated in the staff report. David Clements has done the vast majority of this work. He is here this evening. If you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer them.
Questions from council? Seeing none, a motion would be in order. Councilmember Southworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance 14-36. Or approve ordinance.
Second.
Oh, excuse me, 14-225. Let's try that one. Resolution 14-225. I was reading the wrong line. I apologize.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Southworth,
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoker,
Yes.
Councilmember Haga,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe.
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 9B, discussion and possible direction regarding a request from Peterson Development to submit an application for Gladstone multifamily development. And this is for information, and we will turn the time over to Barrett. Are you the spokesman? Okay, please come forward.
Mayor?
Yes.
Could I interrupt for a moment? And Barrett, I apologize for this. I have a commitment coming up
shortly, and I would ask if it's okay if I excuse myself here in a few minutes if this goes longer than.
We all knew about that, so
Thank you. Appreciate
feel free to join your family.
Hey, Brian, Mayor?
Yes.
I would suggest not that we don't appreciate your presence, but you probably ought to leave.
You can leave now.
I can tell when I'm not wanted, so.
Where you need to be, and the reason you need to be there is more important than what we're doing right now.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Bryce. Good luck. Barrett?
Hi, thank you. Barrett Peterson, Peterson Development, 225 South, 200 East, Salt Lake City, Utah. I appreciate being with you here tonight. I don't usually do this, but I brought my grocery bag with me tonight. And on the way out here, I drove by the new Smiths, and I wanted to see that. And I got my water bottle here so that I don't get too parched. You guys, you men and women, have your water up there, and I get a little parched even with 5 minutes of talking. I also, I love a good object lesson, so I've got a couple other goodies in here. I've got my honey bear here, and I've got my vinegar. And I think this discussion tonight could go one of two ways. It could go honey, vinegar. You've all heard the saying, you attract more flies with honey than with vinegar, and our attempt tonight is to be here and be polite and respectful and be the honey, so to speak, and not have to go to the vinegar and be combative and contentious. So I would just say we're, again, grateful to be here tonight. We are here to seek clarity following the rezone you approved in September of our Gladstone project that we're partnering with Garbett Homes on. After we present additional facts tonight, we ask you to give staff the direction they need to accept our application and keep this project moving forward. Before I get too far into my brief presentation, I'd like to mention that we have a few people here from our team. Danae Mullerup from Garbett Management. She's definitely probably the honey side of things, just like I'm trying to be sweet and polite and respectful. Scott Howell, our government affairs consultant. And then Paxton Guyman, our legal counsel. You could probably call him the vinegar if it ever got to that point. So these three will just have a few brief comments after I conclude. So let me begin by saying I'm very sympathetic to what the council is looking to implement with this cap and grade ordinance. I know that a lot of time and effort has been spent on this. From our standpoint, we want you to know that we have a development agreement. A few mention has been made tonight of development agreement, and we believe it has teeth in it, as you talked about, Ben, with the city dating back to 2012 that states that our Highlands project is not to be governed by the cap and grade. I brought portions of this agreement with me tonight, and I will, with your permission, just bring those forward. Real briefly, though, this agreement clearly states that we have vested rights. I've highlighted 2 pages of it, and that our zoning is in place should the city adopt, in quotes, a different zoning program. And it appears to me that the city is adopting a different zoning program with the cap and grade ordinance, and we're here tonight to go on the record that we have vested rights for all of our multifamily in the Highlands. We entered this agreement 2 years ago, and what good is an agreement if we can't both abide by it? And we're bound to many things in it as well, putting in a lot of infrastructure and roads, and it ties our hands just like we would expect it would tie your hands. I'd also mention, I mentioned Smith's as I came here tonight, the new shopping center. Smith's came to us a few years ago when they wanted to buy the ground. They said, what are you doing out here? What's going on residentially? And we said, well, here's our master plan with the Highlands. Here's what we have from the city. We've got a document that says we can build this amount of units. And right now we feel that it's being threatened. So that's why we're here tonight. Because of this development agreement and the rezone you passed on the Gladstone project in September, we've been moving forward with our plans to develop the property. We've been moving dirt on the site, engaging an engineer, and finalizing our contract with UDOT to purchase the ground. To date, we've spent over $75,000 on this project, all because of the reasons I outlined. As you may recall from September, Gladstone, this project, and we can get to the slides if we need to in a minute, but just to kind of give you the brief overview, we want to bury the wash out there and put a trail on top of it. You remember all this very dangerous wash, and everyone seemed to be on board back in September. It will also provide a way for the trail to be maintained by the special assessment area instead of by the city. And we've also agreed to put in some higher quality LED lights along this trail. So there's a lot of things that benefit the city with this project. And I'd also add to that roads and infrastructure. I'll try my hand at this Laser pointer here. This is Gladstone, just to remind you. This part in question is this piece that we're buying for UDOT. Here's the wash that we're going to bury, and then here's the other portion of it. As we look to build this and get going, this S-curve road would also go in, and that's not to be forgotten in this conversation. This S-curve road is a real vital piece of infrastructure that's very expensive to develop, and that would go in and connect the Smith Shopping Center here to some of the neighborhoods over here as well. So there's a lot of benefits to the city by moving forward with this. So we're here to answer any questions you might have. I'd like to turn the time over to Danae, and then I'll let her talk briefly about the clientele you can expect to see living at Gladstone, and then Scott Howe will take it from there, and I'll be back for a few questions at the end if needed. So thank you.
Hello, Danae Mollerup at 6179 Heritage Hill Drive in Harriman. As he mentioned, I do the management for Garbett Homes, and so we're really excited about this development. I just wanted to talk to you a little about our qualifications when it comes to finding residents. I do have a resident selection plan that we strictly follow, and all of our applicants sign this form, and I have a copy for each of you when I'm finished. First of all, household income. We do require a minimum of 3 times the monthly rent, so we're looking on average that these residents will make at least $50,000 a year, if not more. The majority of our residents are making a lot more than that because they're coming from life-changing events, moving from out of state or a divorce, that sort of thing, and wanting to still be in the area. They're not perpetual renters. These are kind of interim life-changing event residents. Credit history, we're very strict on that, obviously. Anything criminal, anything, if they've ever been indicted, arrested, convicted, or charged with any drug-related offense, sexual offense, violence against any persons, or theft, they're automatically denied. So we do not waiver on that. Obviously, rental history, we're very strict on that. If they have any poor previous rental history, that'll also be denied. Household occupancy, being a higher-end rental market, we do not attract roommate situations. Primarily, it's a townhome product, so it would be more so families. But we do have a maximum of 2 people per bedroom that we allow. So this is their qualifications to even get in, and while the residents are there, we are very strict and actually work with the police department to have a crime-free property to where there's no second chances. If there's a crime that is committed even off the property by one of our residents, that they will be immediately evicted with a 3-day notice. Not a chance to comply, it's a 3-day, you need to move. And so we don't waiver on that. So again, there's signed a plethora of rules, regulations that we are very strict on enforcing, and a lease agreement. And so we find, our rules are in place to protect the property's value and the aesthetics and order of the property. And so we find that the higher clientele is there that will be spending money in your city and most likely will come from out of state or from a divorce situation and will end up building or buying and staying in the city because they will end up loving it so much. So that is what I have to say about resident selection plan, and I can hand this out to each of you. Did anyone have any questions or concerns regarding who would be residing?
Questions for the council? I think we're okay.
Okay, well, I was done.
Good evening, council members. My name is Paxton Guyman. I'm a legal counsel for Peterson Development. I wanted to take just a moment to make sure that our legal position is very clear. And I'll try not to take up too much time. As Barrett mentioned, a development agreement was entered into over 2 years ago for this project. And when I say this project, the development agreement defines that term to mean 426 acres, the master plan project known as the Highlands. The development agreement clarifies in very express language that each application involving property in this project will be reviewed and governed under the requirements of the 2009 City Code, the WSPA. So every application within this project, it's already been determined by contract. It will be governed by the 2009 code, the WSPA. So to use the refrain that was mentioned earlier, the ship has already sailed. This project is exempt from the cap and grade ordinance. The cap and grade ordinance does not apply to this project. It can't without violating the development agreement. The agreement also expressly states that the rights under the WSPA for this project are vested. Now, you've probably heard council talk before about what does vested rights mean. And oftentimes vested rights in the absence of a development agreement means that you have to submit a site application for a specific site plan, a specific project. And then you are vested under the ordinance that exists at that time. Well, here it's different because the entire 426-acre project has been vested under the WSPA. What that means is, as we submit applications for land involving this project in different parts, we have the vested right to have the application considered and acted upon under the standards of that 2009 WSPA. The development agreement goes so far as to say that that code will apply notwithstanding any future changes or new zoning programs. So I just want to be really clear on the record here that we feel we have a very clear right to be considered under the WSBA, not the cap and grade ordinance. And I would even say this is not a close call. That's the whole purpose of entering into a development agreement such as this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council members, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Scott Howell, Government Relations for Peterson Development, 273 Northeast Capitol Street. Thank you for your service. It was interesting to hear the public comments at the beginning. I've been on that side, and yeah, it takes a lot of thick skin. You know, we change. When we're elected and we say things and then we find out facts, we change, and that's the great thing about our democracy in which we live, and so I commend you for that. I've been asked to read a letter from Smiths from Stephen Swartzen. He could not be here tonight, and it says, Honorable City Council members, I'm excited today as we open our new Smiths Market store in West Jordan. Please accept my sincere appreciation to each and every one of you and your staff for the cooperative nature in helping us establish this one-of-a-kind Smiths stores. Today represents the culmination of years of planning for the store at this location. We appreciate your help. As you know, we have partnered with Peterson Development in developing the Highland Shopping Center. As I have talked with them in recent weeks, they have expressed concerns to me about the discussion taking place with reduced density of the new residential development area of the Highlands. You should be aware, we based our decision to open this store at this location not only on current households and population in the area, but also a critical component of that discussion was projected development and potential population growth. While I'm not necessarily a proponent of high-density housing and certainly not suggesting all new development should be any specific density, I am concerned there in this, in fact, to move or decrease the density from the master plans we were shown from the very beginning and based our projections on this. I realize a successful community has many types of housing as well as commercial, office, industrial, and development. I would appeal that nothing should be done to diminish the projections we have presented to Smiths as we are evaluating this area for development. I appreciate your sincere efforts and again express my thanks for all that you've done. On behalf of Smiths and our partner, we thought we had an agreement in place when we came to you a couple months ago. And we realize now that we just need clarity, and we'd ask for your sustaining vote that we can get the right density and the right amount of people in there to sustain the Smiths development as well as a recreation area that we look forward to working with you on. With that in mind, we'd entertain any questions that you might have of me or our team that's here tonight.
Questions?
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Barrett, did you have a follow-up, or? I just wanted you to clarify that part of the development wasn't to fill the wash, it was to pipe the wash.
Thank you. I think I slipped into that the last time we talked. It is to pipe the wash and in a very safe, city-approved manner, make sure there's no flooding. And that, I know that was a hot-button issue at the rezone, but we do believe it's a liability. We showed you the video of how steep the banks are, and people are out going on the trail, every day, and it's up against this wash. So we think it makes sense to do it now. And I think some minutes from the meeting in September were that what else are you going to put against a freeway other than this type of high-quality townhome development? So my concluding comments would be, this is something my dad, who still works at our company, he was out at the Smith's opening last night, he said to city councils in the past out here is, we want what you want. We want high-quality developments. We are invested in this city. We're not going to cut and run as a developer. We have quite a bit invested in this Smith's project, and we need to see rooftops get built so that does well for us. We just bought a piece of ground out here to develop another 40 acres, so we're not going anywhere. We enjoy developing the city and the relationship with staff, and we feel like we have a great track record as a developer here. We urge you to vote for this tonight and conclude with that. And if you have any questions, we're here to answer them. So thank you.
Any questions? First, I got to be clear that we're going to take all of the information we received tonight. We'll give staff direction, and they will be back to Peterson. So if you have a brief comment, that's fine. That's how it'll be handled. So if you have a brief comment, Councilmember Haga.
When I first saw this, I'm the new guy, but I assumed it was a planned done deal community, and we just had to rezone a section so you could buy the property. But after going to that supermarket last night, and I have said, I think I met Derek, is it your dad, Leon?
Yeah.
And I made a connection. I have to tell my fellow colleagues, their dad went to my high school, South High, and sang the South High song. So that made my night, just so you know. How I vote on things, that won't affect that. But anyway, really privileged to meet him. So
South High School? There's no South High School.
Yeah, not anymore. My comment is I would like us to move forward. We need the rooftops out there. We need that Smith's to be the #1 Smith's in the nation. That's my goal. I hope that happens.
Final comment. Councilmember Salper.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to say South High School. I won't hold that against you, but I'm still undecided. I have a comment to Jeff Robinson, a question actually. It was indicated that this agreement included, well, 2 questions. First of all, is cap and grade, maybe to Tom as well, considered a zoning program. And that's the terminology used in the agreement that we have. That's A. And then B, second part of that, was this piece of property owned by UDOT at the time considered part of that global settlement?
We're probably not really prepared to answer any questions tonight.
Yes, I think that's the case.
I think we'd rather go back and look at the legal description and then respond rather than off the cuff.
That's right. We wanted an opportunity for the Petersons to give the facts as they see them, and then our staff would have a chance to respond, and then the council will direct staff. So if you can accept that, that's really as far as we're going to
Yes.
tonight.
Let me rephrase that. If I was going to ask you to research something, would you look that up? Thank you.
We greatly appreciate being heard tonight. That means a lot to us, and we trust the decision that council and staff makes that way.
We appreciate you coming as well, so we can get clarification. Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not actually a question for Barrett. It's more just for staff as you analyze this. The one that comes to mind, I actually really appreciate the handout of the agreement, the developer agreement. I just have particular interest in the section 151. It talks about WSPA densities, and it does mention what Ben's talking about if we adopt a different zoning program. But the section does talk about densities specifically. Then the next section is 152. I have particular interest in that talks about if they have a new application, that it would apply with future laws relating to the development application. I want to know how that relates to that previous paragraph. So I'd like to get an interpretation of that. Thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
On second thought, I'll address my question later directly with legal.
Okay. Thanks. We will move now to item 9C, discussion and possible action regarding 3620 West. And Bryce is not here.
Mayor, he's asked me to address the issue. So, Mayor and Council, you have the staff report, and it is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go through the facts. I just really wanted to go over the options for motions and make sure that they're clear as to the direction that we're looking for. So, there are two potential actions with this matter. The first is that there was a memorandum of understanding that was inadvertently executed, and we're seeking council to determine that is to declare that memorandum of understanding invalid, just so that it's on the record. We think it's invalid anyway because it was inadvertent, and we have an understanding with UDOT that it was inadvertently executed, but we would appreciate council's express declaration that that document is invalid. The second action is what to do with the plat today. Do we record it based on the original conditions of the original ordinance, which was Ordinance 11-33? Do we eliminate some conditions? Do we modify some conditions? And we need your direction on that. The three conditions that are a potential problem, they're listed in the staff report, but the first was that UDOT was required to install landscaping pursuant to the ordinance. They were to provide a bond for improvements to the property, and then they were to record the plat vacating 3620 West prior to closure of the street. If you've read the staff report, you will understand that they did not comply with any of those conditions. In fact, they closed the street before we had a chance to even do anything about it. And so we really can't record the plat without some change in those conditions, either a revision or elimination of those conditions. So to ratify it, if you were to ratify Ordinance 11-33, which is one of the motions that is an option for you, that would mean we would never record that plat because the conditions have not been complied with. If you want to eliminate those conditions, then we could go ahead and record the plat vacating the road, or I suppose you could revise those conditions. As staff, we wrestled with that issue for a long time in multiple internal meetings. We could never really find a way to revise the conditions that would make sense. And so from our perspective at least, the only real option was to eliminate the conditions because of the way things transpired. Many questions about that? If that's not clear, I'll be happy to try to clarify it, but that's kind of where we are today.
Thanks, Jeff. I just have a statement that I'd like to make first, and then, because I'm the one that insisted on bringing this forward, because 3 members of this council were on the council when this was passed back in 2011. First of all, I'd like motion number 1, I'd like to support that and excuse the invalidity of the memorandum of understanding, but also I'm supporting option 3 because we have a road that runs into a wall There's a section in between the road and the wall that was never dealt with, and we still own that section today because they decided they didn't want to follow what the council directed back in 2011. So in fact, if this council chose to give direction to staff, we could take down that wall and open that street back up. I'm not a proponent of that, but I think it's sad to think that there was never any treatment done to that end section of the road by UDOT. They just took possession of it without authority and thumbed their nose at the council. So with that statement, I know you have a statement, and you have one too. Councilmember Hagan.
Yeah, I appreciate this coming back, and so we can deal with it, because it involves a piece of property, which is important. We still own that 36020 road, hasn't been recorded. And, you know, I support exactly what the mayor said, is to declare the MOU invalid, and then I think we enforce the code that was originally passed in 2011. So it's sweet and simple. Let's get it finished. I think UDOT can still put in an eyes. I actually drew it out there, and I can give you all pictures. Basically, it's the wall with two diamonds, and it doesn't even say stop. So, and there's supposed to be some kind of greenery and some kind of landscaping, because the people can walk into that street from 7800 South. There's an access there. So that would be my recommendation, that we stay on the original conditions and get the landscaping that the council wanted. Thanks, Mayor.
I'd just like to be clear, we can't force them now to do anything. It's actually our property. Is that accurate?
Well, I'm not sure that, here's the problem. I mean, just from a practical perspective, I'm fairly confident that UDOT will tell us no. And so to enforce it, we're talking about filing a lawsuit and going through with the lawsuit. And I'm not confident that we would win the lawsuit. Maybe we would, but I'm not confident at this point that we would win the lawsuit. They've raised some defenses to the ordinance, which they did not raise when the ordinance was first passed. They raised those defenses only after they had closed the road, and we went to them and tried to talk with them about fulfilling the commitments. But they've raised some arguments that give me at least some pause. And so I just want you to understand that if we're talking about enforcing the ordinance, we're talking about probably filing a lawsuit, and I'm just not real confident that we're going to win that lawsuit. So, but Mayor, your statement is correct. We do own the property. We could knock the wall down. There are two places where we're talking about landscaping. There's a smaller piece that is outside the wall that would be part of that landscaping. There's another parcel on the other side of the wall, and what UDOT has done is they've sold, or I think they sold it to the property owner that is adjacent to that, and he's attempting to do some landscaping there. He'll be subject to the city's ordinances, and so if he doesn't landscape it in accordance with our ordinances, we'll have an opportunity to use code enforcement to go out and make him do that. So that part could maybe be complied with by the homeowner that purchased that property, but I'm not particularly confident that we're going to get anywhere by trying to enforce the ordinance against UDOT.
Okay, we have the legal opinion, and it's a complex situation. It should have been dealt with before they took possession. That's clear, but what do we do now? I just want to be clear that I don't believe that UDOT has the right to dump on West Jordan and not finish a project and take possession without following up and finishing what the council directed them to do. Where do we go from here? That's the question for the council. I just want to get it resolved.
Sure.
put to bed. So, Councilmember Southworth.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate those sentiments and agree too. That seems to happen from time to various municipalities, and us included. But I'm a little bit confused on what it is we would want them to do. I mean, we vacate the road, and then it was mentioned maybe curb and gutter or something, and then what do we do with the rest? I just don't know where we're going, what we want to have happen. That's the part I'm a little confused.
Well, on the one side, what I would see, just to answer your question from my perspective, and anyone else can weigh in, but landscaping on the one side and at least finish up to the wall on the other side, whether it be a curb and gutter, a walkway, something that's finished treatment on the opposite side. Plus, I believe that our residents are in risk. It used to be a road that went through, and there's really not proper barricading. You run right directly into the wall, other than the the diamonds that are placed there. I don't know that if that's a safety concern. To me, it is. I think there should have been more done. But those are the two items that I see that they didn't comply with. They just.
So I guess the question I have is not what they didn't do, but what it is what would result? What was the end result we were looking for out of? If we take some action, we go to UDOT, we would say we want you to do X, Y, and Z, or maybe it's just X and Y. I don't know.
Or
is that what you just? Let's finish this off. What does that mean?
I say that, or we'll open our street back up for our residents to use.
Yeah.
It's an either or. They have the choice. It's ours. They don't own it. They don't own that section. We own it. Mm-hmm. Our residents own it, not the council. Our residents own that section of street right now today, unless something's changed tonight. That's the point.
I guess we could use that stick, see what opens up. I don't think we would do that, though. It would be a huge safety hazard. That coming right into that turn lane. But I see what you're saying. That's what I just want to know.
I agree, but
what's the end?
Do you want it just to sit like that for the next 30 years? Is that what West Jordan deserves, I guess, is the question.
Yeah.
So,
just to clarify a little more, because I have studied this, and I wanted to go and just get recorded, and I'd like to see UDOT again and do the requirements. But the confusion, I think we have a case, Jeff, because if you read all the documents, the confusion wasn't with our property. The confusion was with their property, because they bought a house, if you remember. All of us know how that was built. They bought a house, and they have that right-hand turn. Well, there was a big piece of land still left there. And they, in their communications that I've read, said that that was the property that labeled the conditions on, not the street. And I think we're at a point where we just educate them, we own it, we can do what we want with it, or apply these conditions. It's a nice piece of property. The sidewalks have been done, but when you go look at it, they've done nothing for landscaping off the sidewalks. The sidewalks are actually elevated, and there's the old fence from the house that was there. So nothing's been done that we asked them to do. And so I think we have a case, but that would be my opinion. Thanks, Mayor.
Any other comments or motion? Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. Just, I guess briefly for me I was one of those back in 2011 who wanted them to do the landscaping. And in the end, I was surprised that it wasn't there. It's what happened. But at the same time, I don't think it is. We have other important projects with UDOT. I don't want to go burning bridges over the landscaping of the corner of an intersection. We have big projects as the legislature's talked to us. We've got the 70th South interchange, 90th South interchange at Bangor. These are all coming up in the next few years. We're going to need their support. So I would just say, I would really like to see us improve the landscaping. I'd say as a city we do it. This is something we're going to have to do. And we move on. And so we'd have to, in order to do that, we'd have to nullify the original MOU. That's my opinion.
I'll second the motion.
That's not a motion, but
You can make a motion.
No. I think that.
we got to make it two separate motions, I believe. Yeah, we want to, for sure, invalidate the executed memorandum of understanding. Please.
I move to declare the inadvertently executed memorandum of understanding invalid.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Hanson,
Yes.
Mayor Rawl,
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth,
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Haga,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoker.
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Alright. So, I'm just gonna look at, I'll just write it. So Mayor, then that is the follow-up. Were you doing a motion?
I had a question.
Yes.
Some of the other options, I've been looking over all three of the options. For option number one and two is to either eliminate or modify conditions 1 and 3, or and then modify 4. I looked down at 1 and 3 is to install landscaping in accordance with the zoning ordinance, and then we would keep 2 in place, which is to modify the intersections, as well as 3620 west, 7825 south intersection, in a manner approved by the city engineering department. So that condition stays in place, and then we would, with option number 1, we would eliminate the requirement for bonding for the improvements to the property. With my understanding with UDOT is that they don't really do landscaping like this. They don't have a mechanism in place unless the landscaping is concrete foot strip. And so with option number 1, eliminating conditions 1 and 3, the bonding for the improvements and the landscaping, but we keep in force item number 2 is that they fix the intersection, which I think is the big problem, and that we modify condition number 4 so that we can still record the plat and clean up our records there. I think that option number 1, I think that achieves what we want to do. We want to clean up the intersection, we want to end the road properly, we want to get those improvements done at the end of the street, we want to get proper signage to notify that it's a dead end. But with regards to landscaping and bonding for the improvements, that's just not stuff UDOT does. And I think we'd have a really hard time trying to enforce that, because that's just not in there. That's just not in their business practice. So I would support option number 1, because I think we have the greatest success to get what we want and still keep our relationship with UDOT.
Is that a motion?
I will make it a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Stoker and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion?
Option number 1.
Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmembers,
Could I clarify? UDOT's not going to do anything, and so I assume that the council is going to follow what Councilmember Nichols stated, that we will go in and prep both sides of the wall to our satisfaction.
Not that they won't do anything. I mean, the second condition still remains in effect.
They're not going to, yeah, I know,
But I mean, that's the part where they would fix the wall on the end of the street. And I think we have a good argument to go ask them for them to do that.
well, let's pass it and see if they do that, and then we'll move at least, okay. Or I should, let's vote on it.
ready?
Yeah, sorry.
Here. Councilmember Stoker,
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth,
Aye.
Mayor Rawl,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson,
Yes.
Councilmember Haga,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
May I just ask a clarifying question? So the modification to condition number 4 is that we record the plat now, right? That's the modification. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, item 9D, discussion and possible action regarding approval of funding source for a sidewalk connection on Gardner Lane across South Jordan Canal in the Okubo subdivision. Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor. As part of the Okobu subdivision construction, they were required to construct a sidewalk in front of their project along Gardner Lane. However, even with the construction of that sidewalk, there was a section that still misses, or is still missing between, would be missing between Okubo and the Kajina Estates. Several of the council members have expressed a concern about that missing section, and staff was asked to prepare a preliminary design and an estimate for that work. That information is attached as part of the staff report. Staff is requesting direction on how you would like to proceed. The reason for that is this project is not on any of our current year projects. We don't have a funding source for it. As we thought about options, we thought that perhaps the project could be funded out of council contingency. It's $8,500. Or you could direct staff to bring it back as part of next year's budget, or other funding options that you might direct staff to consider. We would also ask that the council consider adding an item to the strategic plan retreat where staff could come and talk about the existing missing sidewalks that I think we've discussed those with you before, but we've also got issues with hazardous sidewalks and ADA ramps that we would like to present some additional information to you, just bring you up to speed and have you direct us on how you'd like to prioritize those. So we're open to any options as far as funding goes, and I'll turn the time back to you, Mayor.
Does anyone have a problem with bringing this back at strategic plan and discussing look at it globally rather than just this one particular situation? Please.
Because this is my neighborhood, I have to speak up. So, Cajun Estates are all my neighbors, and the new Okabu's development, which are going to be some nice homes, $400,000 or $500,000 homes. What's happening there, and I've given the city manager photos of it, is the sidewalk. There's a 3 to 4 foot walk that the kids have to make into the street across the canal. And it's always been problematic with our kids walking. The elementary is about a block and a half away. And what happened, if you recall, our council voted on this, is we approved the development with a special retention pond because the canal folks wanted them to widen the canal, and we allowed them just to do a detention. Well, if they would have been required to do the widening of the canal, we would have a new bridge and the sidewalk would be connected. So it was a request from myself. It's about our neighbors, children's safety, and when we want to bring it back, it's okay. I mean, we have time. I don't think the homes will be done until after a strategic plan, but I'd like to keep it on the radar. Thanks, Mayor.
To be clear on that, yes, absolutely. And we have several areas, like Wendell stated, in the city, and I think we need to find a funding source that can correct for the safety of specifically the children, but all residents. We need to find a way to fix these. And if you could identify the real problem areas in the city, and then we could discuss that at strategic plan. Is anybody opposed to doing that? It's pretty soon now. It's not far away, and we're kind of out of the construction season anyway. So please be prepared to do that then.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would look for a motion now to to close the council meeting and move to the redevelopment agency meeting. So moved. Second motion. Motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. I call to order the redevelopment agency meeting. No, I guess you gotta vote on that, I'm sorry. All in favor of closing the city council meeting and moving to the redevelopment agency meeting?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, now we will move to the redevelopment agency meeting, and I call to order the redevelopment agency meeting. The first item on the agenda is approve the minutes of September 24, 2014, as presented. So moved. Have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Hanson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second item, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 167 regarding the 2015 annual meeting schedule for the redevelopment agency. You've all looked at it, as everyone, please. Board Member Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve resolution number 167.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Nichols and a second by Board Member Stoker. Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
We have to have a vote on this.
Roll call vote on this, okay.
Board Member McConaughey?
Aye.
Board Member Hanson?
Yes.
Board Member Haga?
Yes.
Chair Rolfe?
Yes.
Board Member Southworth?
Yes.
Board Member Stoker?
Yes.
Board Member Nichols?
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Okay. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we adjourn the redevelopment agency meeting and convene the municipal building authority meeting.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Nichols and a second by Board Member Stoker. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes will carry. Now I will call to order the Municipal Building Authority meeting. First item, approve the minutes of June 11th, 2014 as presented.
Move to approve.
Second. We have a motion by Board Member Southworth and a second by Board Member Nichols. Discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes with the ayes. Item 2B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 83 regarding the 2015 annual meeting schedule for the Municipal Building Authority, as seen by everyone.
I move that we approve resolution number 83.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Hanson and a second by Board Member McConaughey. Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Chair Rolfe?
Yes.
Board Member Haga?
Yes.
Board Member Stoker?
Yes.
Board Member Nichols?
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey?
Aye.
Board Member Hanson?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh,
Sorry.
are you Board Member Hanson?
Not
Board
today.
Member, Board Member Hanson?
Yes.
Board Member Southworth?
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Please.
Mix that up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we adjourn the municipal building authority meeting and convene the Fairway Estates Special Service meeting.
Second.
Recreational Service meeting.
We have a motion by Board Member Nichols and a second by Board Member McConaughey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, I will call to order the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District meeting. First item is approved minutes of June 11th, 2014 as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Stoker and a second by Board Member McConaughey. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Did somebody oppose it?
He said yes.
Okay. It passes. The ayes.
It sounded different.
Item 2B, approve resolution 14-217 regarding the 2015 annual meeting schedule for the West Jordan Fairway Estates Special Services Recreation District.
I move to approve Resolution 14-217.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Hanson and a second by Board Member McConaughey. Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Board Member Southworth.
With great yes. Aye.
Board Member McConaughey.
Aye.
Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Board Member Stover.
Yes.
Board Member Haga.
Yes.
Board Member Nichols.
Yes.
Chair Wall.
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
The last item tonight, move to adjourn. We have a motion by Board Member Nichols and a second by Board Member Haga. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Yes. Planning Commission, 6 o'clock, with the exception of Councilmember Nichols. No, you never can, that's true.
Yeah, because last, Melissa said, no, we only do a couple.
Am I supposed to?